Welcome to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails, inviting you to join the fight to end human trafficking.
Oh, give me eyes to see. Oh, give me strength to lead. You give me all I need. So give me courage to believe.
Each week, Abolition Radio sheds light on the darkness of modern slavery, celebrates the work of abolitionists who are fighting for freedom, and equips the church to engage in the work of justice with hope rooted in God's Word. Our goal is to see a radio audience become an army of gospel activists.
You're in the neighborhoods we live in. You're in the ones we're passing by. You're in the ones we call our neighbors, and the ones who still escape our eyes.
Now, here's the host of Abolition Radio, founder and executive director of Love Never Fails, Vanessa Scott.
Thanks, Dave, and welcome to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. We are, again, always really excited to hear from the experts in the field that are going to be telling us a little bit about recovery today. We're going to be talking about recovery as it relates to human trafficking, but just in general, the sort of the ideology of recovery and then different approaches that are happening in our community and the types of outcomes that we've been experiencing either ourselves or as we pour into other people. But before we introduce our special guests that are in studio, I, of course, want to introduce Miss Benita Hopkins.
Hello, everybody.
My partner in justice.
Yay, partner in justice.
Yeah. PIJ.
Yeah.
We need to get shirts or something.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. Okay.
We should do that.
All right. So, but in studio, we have with us two beautiful ladies that are going to tell us about their unique recovery programs that they're running and or leading. And one of those individuals is actually a member of Templo de la Cruz, which is actually one of the hosts of our benefit concert that's coming up on August 8th. And that is Chantel. Nice to see you here. I'm so glad you could be here.
Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And then, of course, and the name of your program, that I know that it's Reclaim is your particular group, but what's the name of the program again that you are representing?
New Horizon Recovery Center.
That's right. And that's part of Templo de la Cruz. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to drill down a little bit more on that, understand kind of what are the tenets, what are the goals of that program, and ways that you could get involved if you might be, living in Hayward and you want to get healed and go through something that will help you to kind of reflect on maybe your past or, hurts, hang-ups, and habits. As we say at Celebrate Recovery, that then we can get you on over to Templo de la Cruz. So, but also we have in studio with us Marco, who's with Second Chance.
Hello.
Hi, Marco.
Hello. Hi, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And Second Chance is actually a program that we've used in times past with various ladies in our program, and they've really been wonderful. I mean, up to the front desk, going to greet people who are doing intakes, people who are facilitating the groups, and so they just really blessed us. And so I wanted to have Marco come in and just talk about again the approach and some of the outcomes that we've seen over the years. So, and then of course, Benita and I are very familiar with Celebrate Recovery.
That's right.
Every Monday. Different groups too.
Yeah, different churches and different groups.
Yeah, so I attend Celebrate Recovery at Faith Fellowship.
And I attend Celebrate Recovery at Bridges Community Church, Fremont.
Right. And, I got to tell you, so just as we kind of branch into this topic, when I, and many of you have heard my crazy background, and I had the audacity, I think it was about 8 years ago, when someone suggested that you need Jesus. No. They said, no, you need a recovery class. You do. And I'm like, I am not a drug addict.
Exactly. That's the same word.
You got me messed up with somebody. And that was me in the past, but not anymore. But what I was pleasantly surprised as I came in, I thought, well, maybe I could be a blessing to someone else. Codependent.
Right.
But I went in and I said, I don't think this is for me, but as it began to be opened up and the onion started to unfold, I just realized hurts, habits, hang-ups. That's what this place is for. And so, so on that note, just starting with you, Chantel, tell us a little bit about the program that you're leading there, and specifically Reclaim. I'd like to know, because you have different groups, right? Different breakout groups. So tell us a little bit about that.
So kind of our tagline, our banner over our ministry is that this is where the power of God meets the pain in our lives. And so we have currently 4 different groups that we're running. Previously, we've been running for 3 years, and for the first 2 years, we had a codependency group, and we had a separate addiction group. This year, through a lot of prayer and just watching what God was doing in the groups and the facilitators that were available, we merged codependency and addiction into one group called Reclaim. And so it's a 12-step program that originally we were doing just the traditional Christian-based recovery 12 steps, and it worked well, but this year we've sort of branched into a unique and reordered 12 steps. And so those incorporate the main principles of recovery, but we've added some things that we feel are really integral to the process of healing and restoration. And the sort of the premise behind the Reclaim group is that our focus, although we have to deal with the pain and the garbage and the darkness and the brokenness, and that's why people come, our focus is not as much refraining from, because I think you can really get lost in that and wander sort of like in the wilderness forever, because deliverance can be instantaneous. We're delivered. God says it's done, but you can just keep recycling into different things. And so the transformation is what we're focusing on, and really the focus is on apprehending the goodness and the fullness that God has purpose for our lives since the beginning of time. Because when you come into recovery, you see, I think we're so often distracted by the mess and by all the devastation. But before that happened, God planned for goodness and God planned for abundance. And so it's really about going back through to reach that place that we were destined to live in. So that's the group that I'm currently facilitating. We also have, and they run every other Thursday night. We also have a group that deals with grief and loss and anxiety and depression, and from the same premise that it's not part of God's abundance for us to walk in these things, and they're real. And the church, the people in the church, as well as the people in the world, face them, and we carry them, and we're ashamed by them. But it's the result of brokenness in our lives, and so it's just a safe place to come and say, I know God has more for me, but I don't know how to get it.
Right.
And then there's a youth girls group that we minister to girls and really impart identity to them and let them process. And then we have a men's group as well, and childcare for people who come.
Great.
Awesome. And when is that meeting?
Which one?
So is it on different days of the week?
Yeah,
okay.
Youth girls are Monday nights from 7 to 8:30. Men meet Tuesday nights from 7 to 8:30. And then the grief and loss, depression and anxiety support group alternates Thursdays with the Reclaim group.
Gotcha.
And those two on the Thursday night groups are the ones that provide childcare.
Okay. Gotcha.
Wow.
So it's just checking. So I was just pulling up the 12 steps. Step 1, powerlessness. Step 2, hope. Step 3, decision. Step 4, inventory. 5, confession. 6, readiness. 7, ask God to show you. 8, make amends or create a list. Step 9, make amends. Step 10, inventory. Step 11, keep contact. And I think 12 is rinse, wash, repeat.
Pretty much.
Push yourself right on into one again. But So is that kind of the basis for the program as well, when you say you integrated it with 12 steps?
Yeah, so we deal with the foundational principles of facing where you've been powerless in your life and finding that solid place in God. You have to deal with forgiveness. You have to deal with, we've added the concept of grief in because we feel that's such an important piece. If you don't ever fully grieve, you don't ever fully recognize, which means you can't ever fully forgive and heal.
Right.
And so, we've taken the foundational principles and then we've just sort of poured extra on there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of us need a little extra.
It's really just a blossoming, and it's become a beautiful process.
It's beautiful.
Interesting you mentioned the grief, because we were just talking about that last night.
Yeah.
About, if you don't fully grieve, you don't get there.
And I think that grief is so important because there's a process to grief. And if you have no idea what grief looks like and that the things you're feeling and experiencing are normal, even when you lose something unhealthy, there's still a grief process. And if you don't know how to walk through it, it's going to stumble you.
There are 5 stages to grief as well.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. So grief, we're not just talking about the death of a person.
Correct.
We're talking about grieving the loss of a relationship or maybe a mom or a dad that never was there for you, your childhood.
Even a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't good for you, the fact that you lost it, there's a grief process in place.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, okay, that's great. So there you have it. There's one, kind of approach. And what I hear is a lot of focus on forgiveness, a lot of focus on, just the name even itself, reclaim, getting back to who you were intended to be through God's love and through and honesty, being honest about things that have happened. I do want to talk because it's something I have dialogue with Tim, Pastor Tim, who I'm getting married to in about a month.
Wow.
I know.
A couple of weeks, actually.
To change my last name. But we often talk about how the church sometimes there's this push for you to just get over it and, well, Jesus is over that. You got healed. You're delivered. And so I want to talk about that for a little bit. Okay. But we'll be right back. With another session of Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages.
Trash bills weighing you down? At Case Industries, we specialize in lowering waste costs and providing trash consolidation and compaction services for multifamily properties, condos, and commercial shopping centers. Let us help you reduce operating expenses and increase property NOI. Case Industries, saving the planet, saving you money. Contact us today for a property trash and recycling assessment online at caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. That's caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. Case Industries, the property manager's friend.
Hi, I'm Sandra Herrera, CEO of Case Industries. I've found that many employers are looking for ways to help the community but don't know how. I encourage you to consider supporting Abolition Radio as a corporate sponsor. Love Never Fails offers all the resources necessary to help young women and men overcome the trauma of exploitation and abuse. And that's why I'm proud to have Case Industries supporting Abolition Radio.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. So before we jump into this discussion about, how we integrate our faith and our deliverance with this idea of recovery, I want to actually pull in Margot to talk about Second Chance. And Second Chance is not a faith, organization, right? But we have several relationships with non-faith-based organizations that provide recovery services, healing services, and so tell us a little bit about your philosophy there at Second Chance, and and then maybe a little bit about you and how you came into this, this place of recovery.
I love the name, Second Chance.
Thank you, ladies, for helping me. Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah.
So, I work in an outpatient program. Yeah. And we're a hands-on method. So every person is different, especially, what they're coming in. So it's really individualized. Mm-hmm. But mainly the women's program is my passion, or anything with recovery, because it's the program that I came through for myself. Okay. And, so I know how needy that was. Like when I first came in recovery, I have 14 years today, this time, and how I didn't know how to live. Right. I had lost all functioning. It was to animal level, to where I didn't know, and I had children. Mm-hmm. And this was a place that I could go that saved my life. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have the skills to pick myself up. Whether it's from your family of origin, where how you grew up, or things that have happened to you, your shortcomings, or life abuse or domestic violence or whatever it is that brings you into recovery, or that you're broken, as we were talking about earlier. And so this program is a women's program where you could come and you could bring your children if you have children, and they provide childcare.
Yeah.
And so that was where I needed to be. I didn't need my lifestyle had left me to where I needed somebody to show me how to live.
Right.
And I watched other women, and they became my mentors, and they the way they spoke, or the way they carried themselves, or they would kind of direct me, and I was there to listen, because I never had that before.
Yeah.
Maybe mother, like for some people, they don't have their mother or father, their upbringing, or they do have children, and they got lost in their lifestyle, and that's why it's so good to, whatever that it's situation. And that's why we say we're hands-on, because like each person is different.
Right.
They come in with something different, and we kind of try to address it and meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And so this program, treatment is out there, and the ability to be able to ask for help, or to be able to know, or in the community there's many places, but when you're in that lifestyle and you're out there, you don't know that it is available.
Right.
And that's where our job is, that we outreach and we talk about it, and we put it out in the air, and and so that it only takes one person to have heard that, or your life experience, or see them go through it, that we go, oh, I know how that person did it. Let me go over there.
Right. That's right.
I've seen them.
It's that testimony.
I've seen that testimony, and sometimes it's just by action.
Right.
It's not even by
words.
By words.
Yeah, they're watching you. Yeah. You guys remember that song? Somebody's watching me.
Yeah.
Focus.
Hey, I know, come back. But no, what I'm saying is, really, I mean, just coming back to, thinking about being a walking epistle, right? Some people will never open the Bible, but they will watch how you live your life.
Yes, true.
And when you start talking about what you have been through, and they see that you're able to hold a job down, you speak to them with love and respect, and they go, what? How did you do that? Right. You just told me you were homeless as a child, and you were in foster care, and your parents were drug addicted, and you're able to make a meal and be a blessing to people. How did that happen? Well, it all started with Second Chance. I went and I
was given a second chance.
Yeah.
And for some of it, it speaks like just as its name is, and so the ability to be able to come somewhere and sit down and learn not skills and coping skills, because those coping skills. Those skills have been used to survive, and now we're learning to develop new ones, to replace them, whether it's
survival tactics.
And, we talk about that. We're women, and it's in a safe environment because it's all women, and so that you're able to get honest and finally share and finally have a voice and talk about those real down deep things that you've never been able to even say out loud.
Yeah.
In a group setting that's safe.
Yeah, and on the point of safety, so some people may be listening and thinking, maybe that would be good for me. And actually, I just want to touch on that the groups, I'm sure, live by the same code that Celebrate Recovery does, which is anonymity and confidentiality.
Yes.
That was really big for me, knowing that, I'm coming in and obviously I tell all my business now, but back then I didn't want people to know all that stuff. So in order to come forward, I needed to know that people were going to be held to a standard about, not talking about anything that's said in the group, with anybody outside of the group. Yeah.
Which is really foreign for some women because they never heard that. They never heard that, we don't say what goes on in the room. We, gossip. We don't, those things that we have to relearn.
Right.
For some, it's relearning. Some of it, they've never even learned it.
Right.
Yes.
And it's teaching.
Yeah.
Teaching moments.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't even crosstalk.
No,
you can't even.
Is that also true of both of your programs, Second Chance and Reclaim?
Well,
you comment a little bit?
You can comment a little bit, but it's run by the facilitator, so the facilitator orchestrates it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
As part of our group, for sure. And I think in a church setting, it's so important because there's a lot of shame attached to addiction and issues like these in a church setting. There's this false notion that you get saved and you're supposed to be perfect all of a sudden, and we're not.
Right.
And so they have to know that it's okay for you to be honest about what you're dealing with, and nobody's going to take that outside of this room.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you say addiction, I want to say a hurt, hang up. There's another H, or habit.
Habit.
You know, and that's what gets people all tripped up too.
Yeah, there's a stigma attached to the words, and really, in my own journey, what I had to learn was I could get free of an addiction using that word. I could stop drinking, but then I'm going to gravitate to something else because I'm in search of relief for my pain that I don't know is there. Right. So codependency is a relationship addiction. Right. It's a place where I'm seeking some sort of Band-Aid to cover up all the stuff that I don't know how to deal with, and it can take so many forms.
Because we're all broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all have a hurt, hang up, or I keep forgetting the habit. Good grief.
Yeah.
And but we're all broken pieces trying to be mended together.
Yeah. So good. And I gotta say, what I love about this sort of variety of things that are offered, in the East Bay and just throughout. I mean, I think Second Chance is actually throughout Northern California, right? How many offices do you guys have?
Two.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, what I love is that we get to pick and choose what works for us. Some people like Narcotics Anonymous meetings. Some people want to celebrate recovery. And, some people, AA, CODA, adult children of codependents, and children of codependents, and adult alcoholics as well. And so there's a lot of different groups that are available out there. I think the first step is just to, realize that something needs to be looked at, right?
Denial. And also to build a foundation. We have to build a foundation of support. Yes. And it all works together. We go to treatment, outpatient, and we go to celebrate recovery. We go to church. We have, start to involve our family. But it all works together. We have to have some support.
We have to have support,
the foundation.
So we'll be right back. We're going to continue this discussion just a second. And thanks for listening to Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages from our sponsors.
Hi, this is Vanessa Scott with Abolition Radio, where every week we invite you to join the fight to bring an end to human trafficking. Abolition Radio is the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails, our nonprofit, which is dedicated to the rehabilitation, education, and protection of youth involved or at risk of becoming involved in domestic sex trafficking. Our goal with Abolition Radio is to eradicate human trafficking in all forms, sex trafficking and labor trafficking locally and globally. We are excited to bring this program to KFAX as we will share stories of hope and opportunities to mobilize the body of Christ and turn this audience into an army of gospel activists who will speak up for justice and act on behalf of those who are trapped or recovering from slavery. Find us on Facebook at Abolition Radio or on the web at abolitionradio.org, and join me each Saturday at 3 p.m. for an exciting episode of Abolition Radio right here on AM 1100 KFAX.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
Okay, so welcome back to Abolition Radio, and I want to just kind of drill down into this topic that came up over at Lift Ministries. Pastor Tim was discussing this idea of moving things that are that have happened to you, traumas, relationships that were bad for you, just mistakes that we might have made or things that were done to us, moving them from your front view to behind you, placing them behind you. And it was really great. I wish I had it on recording. I've actually been on him about recording these sermons because they're so good. But this one in particular, just the visual that he painted was of two people that represented an issue standing in front of you, and there's this sign in back of them, the sign that that God has spoken over your life, the words that He's spoken over your life, but you can't see all of the sign because these things are in the way. And he began to talk about how to take hold of those things, take captive those things, and put them behind you. They didn't go away, so they're there, but they're not blocking your view, and really your calling in life, and you're able to move forward. And I just love that, that metaphor, that visual. And so the question, however, that I have is, as those things are behind you, that they're in your past, in your mind, but something emotional keeps wanting to pull them right back, and you start looking at them. Oh, there it is. I was abandoned. Oh, there it is. I was exploited, or I was abused in some way. And then you've got to do this work that helps you push it back again. And hopefully, at some point, hopefully it's kind of like there's less of that. And so I kind of feel like recovery is what helps you to move them back and put them in their position, along with prayer and, submitting to authority in your life, and, all the things, obedience, all those things will work in order to help you put your life in order. And so I wanted to get your perspective, Chantel, on that. You've been through difficulties in your personal life, and you've seen others come in. And so, from a faith, biblical perspective, you see someone hurting and you begin to pray over them, and they feel like, I've been delivered of this thing. And then it comes back up.
I think that so many people tend to look at recovery as I just need to get free of this one thing. And once that one thing is gone, everything's going to be okay. But so often I really approach recovery from a different perspective, that it's life recovery, that all the pieces of my life need to be in place, and they need to be functioning fully, and they need to be healthy. So I might not be drinking anymore, but if I look at my life, how are my relationships? How is my relationship with God? How's my relationship with the people in my life? How is my relationship with myself? Because those are the evidences of whether or not my life has been fully recovered. And I think that when you've been broken, and when you have any kind of hurt, habit, or hang up in your life, that there's you spend your whole life running from what has happened to you. So we're trying in all these unhealthy ways to put it behind us. And so yes, they need to be behind us, but in order for them to be behind us, they need to be settled, which means they need to be brought to the forefront. And through God's eyes, we need to learn to see our pain, because our pain and the things that have happened to us have made statements over our lives and over our identities. And so we have to have the courage to walk into that darkness. I always tell my group, look, the darkness that God is leading you into is not the same darkness that He brought you out of.
Right.
It's different because He's in this one.
Yes.
He's there with you. You got to go through it so He can heal it, and you come out the other side, and it's where it's supposed to be, and things begin to take shape and take place. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. And I come back to the issue of grief, right?
Yeah.
And I think the times where people have stories of people grieving in the Bible, and where they spent time ripping their clothing and in their sackcloths and ashes and so there's a time for that. And I think as Christians, we have to say, I'm in that place. But I'm not walking in the victory that I know God has set before me. I can't see clearly what's going on, so I need a little help here. I need somebody to help me clear the way.
And it's okay to walk in that place. You have to get to that place in order to, like you said, the darkness, to keep walking, to see the light on the other side of the darkness. Jesus is light. He is there with us. But we have to get to that place.
I think the recovery process is when you step into it fully is where you take the concepts of your faith, the concepts of a new identity, and they go from theory into how does this thing look fleshed out? How do I walk this out in my life and really get a hold of it so I'm living in it?
Yeah.
Because we can say it all day long, and we could stand in a church on Sunday morning and feel great about claiming the victory over our lives, but then if we leave and that's not the truth for us, then there's something that needs to be mended there.
Yeah, there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
And so, and then when you're in, these classes, there's a variety of programs, obviously, at Second Chance. There's Narcotics Anonymous. There's all of these different places that you can go.
Overeaters Anonymous.
Overeaters. Yeah, there's so many different ones. And so, I feel like the process can be very similar. And you can be a person of faith and going into that environment and go to church and get what you need at church and your relationships, maybe your daily prayer and your daily devotion. But this snaps into the overarching goals that you have to, get more real about those things that are in front of you that are blocking your way.
Becoming a whole person.
Wholeness.
And getting to your true self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you were when you were first born.
Exactly.
The reset button.
Right.
Yeah.
Reset, another opportunity,
Yeah.
But it's, like you were saying, it's really the awareness. It's the awareness of, like, yes, I know these things happen to me, and yes, now what am I going to do with it? Okay, now I have to really see it. I have to get honest, and it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah.
And then also to examine it and, like, what are my coping skills to deal with that?
Right.
Because there's some residual effects.
Yes.
And some of that stuff doesn't go away.
Right.
We just learn how to deal with it differently.
Coping,
Yeah. Awareness and working through it. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, doing the fourth step, right? The inventory was really, really hard. And I'm a leader over at Celebrate Recovery now. And I've taken a group of ladies through the fourth step, and inevitably half of them fall off. Like there's a high level of relapse when you're actually hashing through a lot of the issues. And so, what do you guys think about that? I mean, I think you come back better than you left, even if you do relapse during that inventory process. Do you guys take them through inventory at Second Chance?
No, because we're not 12-step.
Okay.
So we are out, hands-on, and our approach is that, we understand people relapse. We kind of guide them back, like welcoming them back, here's an opportunity. What are you going to do with
Turn
it?
two, right?
Like, are you, this is an opportunity. What is the lesson? If you can get to the concept of the lesson, like, okay. And some of it gets back and forth, because, that's how we learn.
That's how we learn.
We practice. We continue to go. We know where to go.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a love never fails. Open arms.
Right.
Open arms
you're
approach.
There with them.
Yeah.
With open arms.
Meet them where they're at.
Meet them where they're at, yeah. Okay, so we're going to come back in just a second and hear a little bit more on Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages.
This is Pastor Gary from Faith Fellowship in San Leandro. We are so excited about the launch of Abolition Radio every Saturday. And we have seen Love Never Fails under Vanessa Scott grow right here in San Leandro out of our church at Faith Fellowship. And now her ministry, God gave her a passion to get young people out of the sex trafficking and sex slave industry. And she has been doing a phenomenal job. Not only is it locally, but now it's going globally. In fact, I prophesied to her that God was going to use her to go nationwide, and that's exactly what's been happening. She is a woman with a vision, with a direction, and a passion to see these young people come out of this kind of arena. And to God be the glory. Join with her every Saturday on Abolition Radio to hear what she has to say and then become a part of what she's doing. AbolitionRadio.org. Love never fails.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to Abolition Radio, the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails. So we were just talking about inventories before we went on break, and how there's oftentimes a relapse that happens when you start really digging into the issues. Has that been your experience, Chantel?
Typically, yes. When we merged the codependency and addiction group into one, we moved that inventory process to a step 8 after they're a little more well established, and after the grief process has taken place, or at least been initiated, and we also attach the purpose of God to it. So our step reads: I commit to a thorough self-examination before God, myself, and another trustworthy individual, for the sake of owning my responses to the pain and dysfunction of my environments and relationships, so that I can bring closure and healing through confession and forgiveness of myself and others. So they get to recognize, look, I did all this horrible stuff, but I now recognize that was my unhealthy response to something that was so painful I didn't know what else to do. And that's a little bit freeing, and that's a little bit healing. You know, they get to first see it, then they get to own it, and then they get to say, you know what, this is not what I'm intended to live like.
Yeah, let it
That's
go.
good.
That's really good. When can I get? Wait, Thursday? I got
night.
another meeting. Man.
Oh man, there's not enough time. in the day.
My kids are like, why do you have to go to those meetings? I'm like, you don't want to see Mama.
Yeah.
She doesn't come to the meeting. Mama
Very
doesn't
important.
work right.
Yeah.
Important, yeah.
No, it's funny. We're laughing at it, but I had to have that discussion with my 19-year-old recently, and he understood it. And I said, honey, you know, you feel like things have been going smooth the last couple of years here, but literally, if I did not throw myself into these meetings and take you with me and put you into childcare and do all that I've been doing over these years, I just would not be able to function. I mean, and it's like, man, that sucks. But you know, it's our background. You know, we've endured all of these things, and now we've got to process them, you know, and have a safe place to do that. And so thank God, you know, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting you say that, because my mom, soon to be 85-year-old mom, just asked me that question this week. She's like, and so how long are you going to be going to that? And I said, as long as they'll let me, you know, as long as it's there. I said, as a matter of fact, I've finished and I've started again and getting ready to finish again and going to start again.
Right.
Because, you know, you can never get enough, and I'm just going to be there.
Each time you go through that process, the 12, I've gone through it 3 times now. You're at a different place.
Yes, you're at a different place.
And I think we talked about this the other day, Margot. Right? It's like what you might be going through at times. It might seem a little boring to be in the class, but you know, there will be that thing that comes up that makes it all fresh and new, huh?
And worth it. You know. So she goes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, she's 3,000 miles away, but, you know, concerned.
Mama, she's making fun of you. I'm going to have to get on her, Mama. Okay. Mama ain't going to be happy now.
Yeah, no.
You know this is going to be online, right?
Yes, I know.
So, no. Like mom's over there just clicking away on podcasts and stuff. Your mom would be doing that.
Yeah, she would. She would.
She's quick. So just shifting gears a little bit, what would you say, just thinking about people that have come to you, and obviously we have anonymity and confidentiality, so we can't really describe in detail the circumstance, but if we could just generally say, you know, a situation that was just kind of like an aha moment for you as you've been running these recovery classes, where you've seen someone come from point A and go all the way to point Z, and just sort of watch that transformation and know, you know, recovery is really, it works. Has there been a point like that for you as you've been doing this? And I know you've said that you've done it yourself, right,
yes,
Margot?
Right,
so
right. The transformation, and you know what's really amazing is watching women or men too. You know, because it's outpatient, it's men and women too. Right. Just 2 different parts. Is that we can see the transformation. We can see actually when they're suffering. We can see how, you know, they distance, like, you know, stopping going to meetings. It's not about, they're not having that balance anymore. But what's beautiful is about seeing the transformation of them blossoming too. You know, they come in and we're broken. They, you know, we look a certain way, and not holding themselves up, and all of a sudden they're sitting up, they're holding themselves up, they're talking differently, and you can just see it happen before your eyes.
Yeah,
as you watch them grow.
You actually have a parenting program that allows people to get their children back, right, after they get their parenting certificates.
Well, yes, we have a certificate program for parenting, and we work CPS. We the courts. The courts sometimes send them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hands-on work that's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be, to see someone get their children back and be able to. I remember one 16-year-old came to one of my groups and they were talking about being reunited with their mom after their mom went through a program like that, and just how they were so happy that the house was calm and that they would go to their meetings and that there was food in the refrigerator and they had structure. And it was awesome to hear from the child's perspective about the mom going to recovery. So
and for instance, parenting, you would think, women wouldn't just come to parenting because they have children. Well, parenting is about learning to parent ourselves and learn these skills that we may have not been taught.
That's good.
And so we're reparenting ourselves. We learn this information to get an understanding within ourselves, and then we can teach it to our children or our grandchildren, or anybody that we're interacting with, because we're showing it by action,
right?
And we're learning to interact with others,
right?
It's communication style.
Yep, agreed. So, how about you, Chantel?
I think that. And I learned this in some of my training, that people who are broken in relationships can only be healed in relationships. And so, as people come in and engage in the process of recovery, they're really engaging in relationships where they can be vulnerable. And it's a picture of just walking beside somebody. It's not I don't know, you hear sometimes people say, I don't need to go to church to get God. No, we really don't, because God lives inside of us. But we need to go to church to get each other. And so much healing and transformation takes place, even in the rough places where our relationships hit bumps and we have to confront, or we have to say, hey, let's get accountable, or whatever it is. But in relationships, that's where that transformation has taken place. And so in particular, there's one young lady that I saw come in and just fresh out of a bad place, and she came in and she got church, but she needed something beyond that. And so she came into the recovery group, and she's now in training to facilitate a group herself. It just has completed that, and it's just, her life is just oozing, and God is putting relationships back in order. And she's learning, even as Margot said, she's learning how to live, how to do life. She's learning skills that the church can teach you a lot of spirituality and can give you the person that you need, Jesus. Yes. But then how do you flesh that out? How does it look like day to day as you're learning how to walk, how you're learning how to live in this new identity? And so that's the undergirding,
that's how it should be.
Yes.
That's how it should work.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Benita?
Wow. So many things. I love what Chantel just said, though, with the person who has come in, needing the services themselves, coming in as a broken vessel and being restored and blossoming like a flower. When you were describing, Margot, your program, I could just see a flower, from the roots, the little seeds taking root and blossoming, and that person blossoming like a flower. And I know that I can say that for myself. I had to find me. I didn't realize, I didn't know who I was. Right. And that's what recovery has done for me, and it's still a work in progress. I'm still finding the real me, who am I in the eyes of me, let alone my Lord, but not in your eyes or his eyes or those eyes, but to me.
To you.
For me and to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Trying to get me crying in here. What you trying to do here?
Moving on.
Don't start that. Okay.
Awesome.
Tears are healing, right? In Celebrate Recovery, we put a box of tissues down, and we do not offer tissue.
Right. We do the same thing.
You do the same thing, So it's just little things like that where you can just go and literally sob the entire time, and nobody will, and come and rub your back and do all that, and it doesn't mean that they don't love you, but it means that they're giving you the space to grieve with support in your presence. So
That's right.
To feel through it, get through it. Yeah.
So we're going to come right back, and we want to make a plug for the different groups one more time and ways that you can get involved in classes and groups throughout the week. Before I step away, I'm actually going to step away, and Benita's going to tell us about events and also these ways that you can join a recovery group. Before I do, I just want to make a plug for Faith Fellowship's Celebrate Recovery groups that I'm a leader there. And we meet on Mondays from 7 to 9 p.m., and there are groups on relationships, on sexual addictions, on eating addictions for both men and women. The address there is 577 Manor Boulevard in San Leandro. And so we look forward to seeing you there or at one of these other wonderful programs. And again, I do want to thank Chantel and Margot for being here, and thank my partner in Justice for closing us out. So we'll be right back with another session of Abolition Radio.
We'll be back with more Abolition Radio right after these messages from our sponsors.
Trash bills weighing you down? At Case Industries, we specialize in lowering waste costs and providing trash consolidation and compaction services for multifamily properties, condos, and commercial shopping centers. Let us help you reduce operating expenses and increase property NOI. Case Industries, saving the planet, saving you money. Contact us today for a property trash and recycling assessment online at caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. That's caseindustries.us or call 510-566-4223. Case Industries, the property manager's friend.
Hi, I'm Sandra Herrera, CEO of Case Industries. I've found that many employers are looking for ways to help the community but don't know how. I encourage you to consider supporting Abolition Radio as a corporate sponsor. Love Never Fails offers all the resources necessary to help young women and men overcome the trauma of exploitation and abuse. And that's why I'm proud to have Case Industries supporting Abolition Radio.
Welcome back to Abolition Radio, where you are invited to join the fight against human trafficking.
And welcome back to another segment of Abolition Radio. And my partner in justice did leave me hanging here to finish out this broadcast. But I just wanted to thank both of you, Chanel and Margot, for the wonderful work that you do in your organizations. And I would like for you to give us any closing closing words you'd like to say.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to say, just put an outreach out to anybody, men or women, who is looking for a different way to live, to look on the internet, any website. Give yourself an opportunity to make some changes in your life and do something different by asking for help, and that we're available.
That's great.
It's out there.
And that's second chance.
Second chance, yes.
I think I would just say that, how I knew that there needed to be something different in my life was there's just this inner cry that said there has to be more than this. Mm-hmm. This can't be all that life is meant to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been true of almost everybody I've been able to walk through this process with. And so if that's you today and you have this sense that there has to be more, maybe you don't know where to find it, but I just really believe that, in the book of Exodus, when God called his people out of bondage, he sent someone, he said, look, tell them I've heard their cry and I know and I understand their pain and I want to bring them out. And that's God's heart, is to bring us out into the fullness. And so, we also, New Horizon also offers counseling. We have free counseling. And so there's so many resources available. And I feel like if people know that it's available and just step in and try, you really never know what kind of beauty and amazing power is going to come out of that. So I would just encourage you to just show up once, and then they usually end up staying.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is great. And thank you guys so much. For those of you who are listening and you're in the East Bay area, you can contact either of these organizations. Go to abolitionradio.org and leave us a message, and we will put you in contact with either Chantel or Margot. Mm-hmm. But we can connect you there. And if you are a little bit further in the South Bay and you're interested in Celebrate Recovery at my church, Bridges Community Church in Fremont, send me a shout out as well on our abolitionradio.org page. But I want to get to some events here pretty quickly. If you would like to sponsor this program, if you like what you hear and you think that we're making a difference, please support us. Please sponsor this program, and it's a very easy process. Send us a message again at abolitionradio.org, or like our Facebook page of the same name, or send us a message at on our website, loveneverfailsus.com, and we will send you all of the necessary information to do that. We have a couple of events coming up, as a matter of fact. Here shortly on August 8th at Temple de la Cruz, we will be having our Love Never Fails tour. We'll be having a benefit concert, and that concert takes place at 24362 Thomas Avenue in Hayward from 4 to 7 on that day, and your ticket is a T-shirt. So go to our website page at loveneverfailsus.com, purchase your T-shirt. That is your ticket to the concert that night. Also, let's see, we have on September 12th at Faith Fellowship Church, Becoming a Woman Conference. And Faith Fellowship is 577 Manor Boulevard, Hayward. Come on out and support us and support them that day, and enjoy yourselves at that conference, Becoming a Woman Conference at Faith Fellowship Church. So once again, we thank you for being with us here today. And if you have any need of any of these services of recovery, or just need to speak with someone, talk with someone, you cannot say that the offer has not been made. The availability, the opportunity is there for you. So please reach out. Even if you need to speak with me, you can reach me at benita@loveneverfailsus.com. And if you have never heard one of these programs before, or never heard anyone tell you or let you know this, please know that we want you to know that you are loved.
Thanks for joining us this week on Abolition Radio. We trust that you've been inspired by these stories of hope and survival, and that you'll accept our challenge to get involved by contacting us at abolitionradio.org, by liking and sharing our page on Facebook, Facebook/Abolition Radio, or by making a contribution directly to Love Never Fails. Abolition Radio is the broadcast outreach of Love Never Fails, which is a donor-supported, nonprofit ministry that Vanessa founded as a way of directly impacting the lives of young people who are trapped in or at risk of becoming involved in sex trafficking. This broadcast needs your involvement and support. To find out more, simply go to abolitionradio.org and click on Love Never Fails. Today's program was brought to you in part by Case Industries and with major support from the staff and membership and donors at Faith Fellowship Church. Our theme song, Courage to Believe, is by Justin McRoberts. Hear more about his passion for justice and art at justinmcroberts.com. Our audio engineer is Jarrell Martin, and this is Dave Naderhood. On behalf of Vanessa, Benita, and the whole team at Love Never Fails, thanks for listening, and thanks even more for taking action to help set captives free.
You're in the neighborhoods we live in. You're in the ones we're passing by. You're in the ones we call our neighbors, and the ones who still sleep our eyes.